Hey, happy Monday, everybody, and welcome to our second week of PCOS and the drop. So, today we're going to talk a little bit more about insulin resistance. Um, that is Kristen's forte. She's going to talk to us a little bit about that. But I think before we get started, Kelly's going to share a little bit about her journey, just give a recap, and then we'll just dive right in. Kelly, make sure you unmute.
Thank you for the reminder. Hi, my name is Kelly. I have suffered with PCOS for almost 2 decades now. It was overwhelming, I guess, when you first get started, finding out you're not crazy. Your hormones are just going crazy. Um, so many people go undiagnosed because the symptoms are so vastly different with everyone. So I went a while trying to figure out why is this happening? What's going on? And I've never really been grateful for my PCOS journey. That's been very hard for me. But lately, I got a scare that made me grateful that I have had this because I was able to recognize symptoms earlier on in my daughter. Um, they say can be hereditary, but I started noticing my daughter. She had a dark lines in her neck, signaling insulin resistance. I started noticing that her arm hair was a little bit more thicker than most girls. So I went to get her checked out early on, and hopefully we have caught it in time where she doesn't have to go through as much as I did. And that's the point of this Zoom. That's why Brittany and I really want to do it. We want to help women be able to recognize these symptoms and get the help that they need. The first hormone that was off, my daughter's DHEA levels, and that's not one that a lot of people check regularly. So once that starts going up, that triggers other hormones to get off. DHEA goes up, testosterone, androgens go up, cortisol increases, and that leads to blood sugar increases and causes insulin resistance.
Yeah. So Kelly, thank you for sharing that. I know it's been a hard journey for you and then also as, a hard journey as a mom. I can't imagine, going through it with your child. So thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that. I think what is really great about this Zoom is Kelly and I both have PCOS, but it's vastly different for both of us. She got a hold to it early on. I didn't. Because my doctors just put me on medicine and said, good luck. So I think, getting ahead of it is key. And I'm glad that you were able to do that for your daughter. But yeah, so mine is at 22, I was diagnosed with PCOS and I gained 80 pounds that year. And I started getting all the symptoms, the night sweats. I felt like I was having hot flashes. I was way too young for that, the weight gain, the carb cravings were insane. The inflammation, the irregular cycles, all of it. I feel like I got. But that being said, they just put me on birth control and metformin, and I think Kelly's going to kind of lead into that later. But there's nothing that can help PCOS that comes from a doctor that they gave me. I can say that. I did not feel better until I found the drops. And so Kristen is going to talk to you a little bit about how the drops help with insulin resistance. But before that, I do want to say at the end, we're going to talk a little bit about how I have had to manage my insulin resistance and how it affects me differently than it does affect, the majority of the population. If you're not insulin resistant, you're not going to have the same issues that we are experiencing. So with that being said, Kristen.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me. I have to say, I think these ladies are very brave to get on to talk about their issues because some of this can feel kind of personal. This is, one would say female issues, right? And it could be hard to talk about. So I think it's brave that they're getting on and sharing their stories to try to help others. So kudos to them. I don't have PCOS, but I'm very interested in all things that are insulin resistance, whether that is polycystic ovarian syndrome, type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndromes, and all those things. So that being said, I want you just to kind of think about how this disorder could even have come about. And so I want to just take it back to maybe even a few years ago, or maybe it's quite a few years ago, and think about, when did you think about your mother or your grandmother ever having to deal with something like this? You probably didn't. Like, I don't remember this being a huge issue up until like kind of like the past like decade, 2 decades. Like 5 to 6 million women in the United States deal with PCOS that are diagnosed. And they say there's probably like 70 to 80% of women that are undiagnosed. So they're just living with this and they have no idea, right? So think about, actually, in 1977, the American government decided to tell the American people what we should eat and what we should not eat. And what we shouldn't eat at the time was fat, right? Because they thought fat was the cause of heart disease at the time. So, what did everybody do at that time? They started going on low fat, high carbohydrate diets. And it was a trend. It was actually a huge paradigm shift in the way we ate. Think about the food pyramid at the time. I was grown up, like, I learned it. Everything at the bottom was all carbohydrates, and that's what you got your big servings of. And then it went to like vegetables, and then lots of, like, it was all carbohydrate ridden. And then at the top, it was your fats, when really it should have been flipped, right? So a lot of insulin resistant issues or chronic diseases, think about type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, metabolic syndrome, PCOS, these are all insulin resistant issues that have really gotten extraordinarily high numbers in the past 30, 40 years. Isn't it funny how it is all linked back to our diets? And so when we talk about even PCOS, yes, we don't really know what causes it. We don't maybe know what causes it. They say they don't know what causes it. Could it be genes? It may be now, but it really probably could be a paradigm shift in how we eat and lifestyle choices. So if that is the case, then we can probably do some things to help ourselves now, right? So if you don't know what insulin resistance is, that is literally when your cells become resistant to the hormone insulin. And insulin is a hormone, right? We all know that. And hormones are all messengers. Any hormone we have sends a message to a cell or another hormone to do some sort of job. And insulin being specific, it wants to tell a cell to basically uptake sugar for energy. But if it's resistant to it, your cell is not getting that sugar to get energy. So what's happening? You're probably getting tired. I don't know. These ladies, I don't know. They're probably tired a lot, or lethargic, or sluggish. They're probably not feeling full of energy because their cells aren't thriving because they're not getting fuel, because your cells need glucose to function. Okay. And so they're not getting the fuel they need. So what also happens is their blood sugar has an abundance of sugar staying in because their cells aren't uptaking. That also starts having additional effects on their ovaries, which is going to be the production of those extra androgens. So that's where they're going to see the extra hair, or all maybe the acne. That, like, those are all issues that we don't like. Women, which is obviously going to be making you feel like insecure about things as well. But it's also, the extra sugar is hard on your organs, right? That's polycystic, but that's hard on your heart. That's hard on your liver. Think fatty liver. Here we go with those other things. Like, this is hard on your body. So we want to try to find ways to maybe reverse it or manage this insulin resistance. Okay, so how can we do this? And that's what we're going to talk about. And I'm not just going to talk about, I am going to talk about the drops, because yes, that's why we're here, is to talk about our drops. But there's lifestyle things you've got to do with the drops, because I always say, yes, you got to do the drops, but you can't just do the drops. They're not magic. I'm telling you. They're wonderful. They're great. They're a tool. They're not magic. Nothing's magic. Okay. If that was the case, I'd be a billionaire. That's how, but you've got to do your part along with it, because they are a tool. And Brittany knows that. Kelly knows that. So I'm going to talk about the other steps you can do to add into the drop. So how can you manage your insulin? We got to do protein. I'm sure they've been told that. You've got to, in my opinion, I think you need to exercise. If you have polycystic ovarian syndrome, I think you should incorporate some sort of exercise. I do not think it should be crazy strenuous. I do not think you should go out there and kill it every day and just see how much you can do to wipe yourself, because you're probably already tired. So I don't think you should do tons of cardio. I think you should absolutely incorporate strength training. And here's why: because strength training is going to help build muscle. And the more muscle mass you have, the higher your metabolism will be. You need to get sleep. Sleep is when you recover. It is going to help your stress hormone, cortisol, come down, and is going to help your body absolutely recover. If you can get 8 hours a night, you would be gold. That's probably very hard for some of you people, but it's going to be very crucial to set yourself a clock. If, yes, I go to bed early. That is my thing. I like to go to bed at 8:30 or 9. If you say I don't go to bed till 1 o'clock, try to go to bed at 12:45. Work it in 15-minute increments, and then get on a routine of going to bed at 12:45, and then in a month say I'm going to go to bed at 12:30. Work it down until you've just picked up a few extra minutes a night. Don't do it all at once, because you'll just lay in the bed and be like, I'm not tired. But you can work it down, okay? Sleep is very important. Recovery is very important. So let's talk about anti-inflammatory foods. You're going to know when you get on the system, the drop system, it's going to give you an approved food list. And dairy is not one. So we want to stay away from foods that cause inflammation. And I think dairy should be cut out. And you'll notice when you do the drops, dairy is cut out. That is because dairy, in my opinion, does cause inflammation. And it is hormone havocing, because it's coming from milk, and milk is coming from a cow's mammary glands. So there's hormones in there, right? So we want to eliminate anything that could be causing any more hormonal disturbances. Okay, doesn't mean you can never have cheese again. You still need to have it all the time. You need to cut it out for a while. Okay, so let's get to the drops. Okay, so here's the tool that can help you. I just told you there's an approved food list. That's tool one. That is tool one. Eat from that list. I'm going to tell you about the bottles, but eat from the low glycemic food list. That is automatically going to keep your blood sugar levels stable. Okay, we're eating high protein, we're eating vegetables, we're eating low glycemic fruits, and we're eating healthy fats. We want to keep blood sugars like this, not like this. Nobody wants them like this anyways, but if you have polycystic, you want to stay like this, because you don't need the spikes. You don't need the insulin going up, because your body doesn't know what to do with it anyways, right? So you need it nice and stabilized. That approved food list right there is your best friend if you have this disorder. Okay, so that's step one. Step two is to start working your drops. Okay, bottle one is called SlenderX. Now, this bottle is going to have some ingredients in here that help with digestion, which is wonderful. Some ingredients that help with appetite suppression, which is wonderful, because if you are like this, you're probably hungry, and then you're probably on a roller coaster with your cravings, because your sugar's up and down, But let's get to some of the ingredients that actually help with the stress hormones. There are 4 ingredients that actually help with stress hormone and anxiety. And we're going to talk about that in bottle 2, but they're actually in bottle 1 as well. And that, to me, is very critical with this disorder, because your hormones are out of whack, and we really want to get your endocrine system supporting itself, but not just the estrogen and progesterone and the testosterone that's all crazy. We want to get the cortisol and the insulin stabilized too. Because if cortisol's up, insulin's going to naturally be up too. So we want to get your cortisol back down so that insulin can stay down. There are 4 ingredients that help with that. Now, I'm going to specifically talk about one ingredient in the bottle. There are 11 homeopathic ingredients in there. And homeopathic means helping body heal from within. We don't heal, treat, cure, diagnose, anything. That's just the definition of homeopathy. Okay? We want the body to start working for itself. Okay? But there is one ingredient in here called graphites, and graphites specifically help with skin conditions. I just said that women with this have acne, right? But this specific ingredient can help clear up skin. So it could potentially help face, back. It could help that skin issue. That's a plus right there. There's an ingredient, that ingredient specifically will help a metabolic imbalance. There's a metabolic imbalance going on because your insulin's not working for itself, right? So that ingredient will help that. That ingredient also helps with the constant hunger. And this ingredient also helps menopausal women with their estrogen and progesterone. So if that ingredient helps with menopausal women, not saying PCOS is menopausal, but it's helping balance out estrogen and progesterone, obviously it's going to be beneficial in this situation. So that's the ingredient. That's just the one ingredient I'm going to, there are 11 and they all work synergistically together. But to me, that was the biggest pinpointed ingredient that I thought was so highlighted for this specific issue. Again, there are a couple ingredients too specifically that help with the thyroid, and typically, not always, people with PCOS have an overlap with the hypothyroid problem. So we want to get that thyroid supported as well. And so that can also help get things balanced out, which will help in turn with the weight loss, right? So that's bottle 1. Now, bottle 2 is called Accelerate. We have methylated B12 in there. Energy. You just said you're tired. This is going to help deliver you some energy and feed your body some natural B12 that's methylated, it's bioavailable, it is ready to go. We have biotin in there that's helping some enzymes, get your body delivered right. We have rose hemps in there, acerola cherry. We have ashwagandha and rhodiola, my 2 favorite ingredients in that bottle, that also help with cortisol levels, and they are adaptogens. They are helping full body stress, but specifically the mood. And again, talked about cortisol. If you can keep cortisol down and keep that lowered, your insulin is naturally going to be a little bit lowered as well, because stress comes with insulin, okay? And that is our system. And again, I like to call it the tool. It's not magic, but if you do it right and work your food list, as Brittany has lost now over 100 pounds, and she said no medicine had worked for her, but she ran the food list, she ran the drops, and she got her body working in favor for itself again. So she uses the tool daily now. So I hope that was helpful. I will say what not to do, which I think these ladies probably know what not to do if you have PCOS, but obviously you want to say, and we all know, nobody needs to do this, but fried foods, no go, processed foods, no go. If it's white, it ain't right. So you need no white rice, you need no potatoes, you need no white bread. Low fat foods, you just need to not do those because they're going to add sugar into those. Like if it says low fat on it, that means they put some sort of sugar additive in it to make it taste good. And obviously sugary products, alcohol, those are just not good for you. So anyways, I hope that was helpful, and I'm going to turn this over to Brittany.
Yeah, no, thanks, Kristen. I have like notes. I always learn when you speak. So thank you for sharing all of that info. What I just want to say is, all of our journeys are different. And so I just want to kind of tell you what I have found that's helped me succeed very quickly. The first thing, Todd and Kristen have both told me this. If you are insulin resistant, you can't cheat. If you cheat on Monday and you're perfect until Friday, you're not going to start losing again until Friday. right? Because it's got to burn out of your blood, your muscles, all of that before you start losing again. So, a lot of people can live an 80-20 lifestyle. I hear that a lot, and that's great. My mom has lost a lot of weight by living the 80-20 lifestyle. We can't. I lost my first 44 pounds in my first 15 weeks. And then I started, playing with the food list, which you can't do. If weight loss is your goal. So that is my first tip. My second is, I will tell you, I have one cheat meal a month. You know why? I'm going to say that's okay. I'm not going to lose that week, but I know that I need to stay on track. So give yourself a little bit of grace, is my second tip. And then my third is going to be that whoever invited you to this Zoom, ask them about a community. 90 to 95% of people fail if they don't have an accountability partner. Well, we're your community. We want to help you. There have been times I have been kicking and screaming, and people on this Zoom have pulled me out of the hole because I just I wanted pizza or whatever. Right. So, make sure that you're part of a community. Educate yourself. Kristen just told you so much. Look, pepperonis aren't protein. Okay. I thought that, like, you have to learn what your body needs, like what is actual protein. Because in the South, we aren't taught that. Like she said, carbs are at the bottom of our food pyramid. And then I have a lot of people say, can I stay with keto? No, you can have cheese, and keto is so dirty to me now. So, I was drinking protein shakes with soy. Guess what? Soy causes your PCOS to flare up. So keep all of that out. Just stay to the food list. Keep the soy out, keep the dairy out, and you're going to feel better. Kelly can probably tell you the inflammation. I can literally have one of Jeremy's old protein shakes and I swell up because it's got soy in it. And then last but not least, this is one of my biggest things, is set yourself up for success. We meal prep, and if I don't, what am I going to do? I'm going to go find something, and it's going to be whatever I'm craving. It's kind of like what you tell your kids. We have food at home. It's easier to drive past all of those places if you've got food at home prep. So thanks to Jeremy, because he does all our meal prepping, but find something you like. I was so picky. I ate like 4 things before I started this. We have cookbooks. Ask the person that invited you or sent you this video for the cookbooks. Find something that you like. And if you have to eat it every day, then that's what you do. But stick to the food list and meal prep, and it will make things so much easier. So those are going to be my tips. Yeah, so we'll get to some questions at the end if we have time. I see a few in there. I don't know if you see those, Kristen. But Kelly, I'm going to turn it over to you. If you want to add anything, and then maybe close us out, unless, we've got people wanting cookbooks. So yeah, we'll get that out. All right. Make sure you unmute, Kelly. If you were invited here by somebody, just reach out to them for the cookbook. If not, if you just showed up here on your own, just message one of us and we'll send you the cookbook. There's several. All right, Kelly.
All right, Kristen says the drops aren't magic, but they've been a major blessing to me. I call them my liquid discipline, my motivation in a bottle, because of those food cravings that were mentioned earlier. I was tired all the time, and now I have so much more energy. I'll be turning 40 in a couple of months or a few months, and I feel better now than I did in my early 20s, late 20s, and my entire 30s. So I've kind of started paying attention to my body more. I've worked with my primary care physician always. If you've got a good primary care physician, great, run everything by them. If not, I suggest, you find one, because they're going to be your partner in this journey, as well as this community. I have found that inflammation is a big trigger for me. So I try to include lots of antioxidants and anti-inflammatory foods in my diet: blueberries, tomatoes, kale, mushrooms. I try to season things with cayenne pepper, turmeric, garlic, ginger. Well, I shouldn't say I try to season things. My husband Jeff does. He does all the cooking in our household. I do lemon water, and spearmint tea has been a big thing for me. It was recommended for PCOS to me several years ago, and in researching it, it does have anti-androgenic properties. Things I avoid: dairy, had a personal trainer when in my early 30s that told me anyone with PCOS shouldn't have dairy. That was the first time I'd heard that. So that one wasn't a shock when I got to the food list, but finding out about some of the fruits that I love that increase your blood sugar. Because I was wondering, why aren't oranges, why aren't grapes, why aren't strawberries on this food plan? It's because they spike your insulin. Once you get to where you want to be, if you're not PCOS, you can have those things back. I also try to avoid processed foods, and I try to stick to more clean meats. There's no way these chickens should be getting that big that fast, and I worry that it's interfering with my hormones. Um, Most of my beef comes from my family farm. Uh, Pork we get that from a place in Arkansas that another part of my family has. Shrimp, we'll do a shrimp, or friends that will do a shrimp run to the Gulf. So try to have lots of fresh foods, shop local, farmers markets, maybe have a garden. Um, but one thing that I have found that triggers me quicker than anything is steroids. I was put on steroids October, November, and December of this past year, and it was a huge setback to me. Joint pain, inflammation, my PCOS that I hadn't had any flare ups. I'd been feeling great since I started the drops in August of 2023. All of a sudden, I was like, I don't, I don't feel myself again. It's like, oh my goodness. I was so grateful to get off of those and detox my body. The body balancing challenge came at a great time for me. Um, and with the steroids, that leads me to our next topic we're going to start talking about the next time on April 14th. And we're going to have a special guest, Dr. Karen Grisham, is a pharmacist. She's going to be joining us. Our next one will be about, sorry, I moved my notes because I was taking so many when Kristen was talking, giving me some good stuff. She's going to be discussing medications that are commonly used to treat PCOS, their side effects, how they work, and how different they are from the drops. Brittany or Kristen, do you guys have anything else you need to add?
No, I thought those were wonderful tips
Yeah, great
for
job.
everybody.
Yeah. So yeah, I put the flyer in the chat too, and we'll start pushing that out again. I will get all of these recordings in the business groups tonight. So you can see those there. Did you see any other questions?
I answered one in the chat for her.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Yeah. So, that's what I was going to say. If you're losing slower, you might be getting an artificial sweetener. We had a lady, she was doing perfect recording. She was recording everything and she was perfect. And she was chewing one stick of gum on the way to work a day. And we looked and it had 17 artificial sweeteners. So just really look at, if it goes past your lips, write it down if you're not getting the results you want, because as Kristen said, like the facts are there, they work. And we've all experienced it. So all right. Well, I appreciate both you ladies so much. Kristen, your knowledge. Kelly, thank you for being vulnerable. And Amy and Brandy, thank you guys for keeping us all going here. So we appreciate y'all, and we will see you guys next time.
Thank you, Brittany.
Bye.
Thank y'all so much. Thank you.
Bye.